I'm sorry, folks. I wish I could do better, but unfortunately I cannot because I don't have my PC. My PC screen had cracked, and I'm working on an old school PC that I had back from 2015, 2014, 2010. So this is an old PC, so I have to work from my phone. But I'm doing this live on this topic about. Make sure this is. No. People want to call me now. Now people want to call me as soon as I go live. That's ridiculous. And this topic, I have to speak on it. Simply because, oh my God. Simply because there's a lot of BS surrounding the game. A lot of guys in the gaming industry that you hear on YouTube, and they're choosing to start this culture war and attack Yasuke specifically with Assassin's Creed Shadows. They didn't start this culture war when it came to prior Assassin's Creeds with Assassin's Creed. Which one was it? With the let me see this one right now. Let me look up the Assassin's Creeds. Assassin's Creed video game series. 1 second. They didn't want to start this culture war with Assassin's Creed Mirage when they had the Arab guy. No offense to the Arabs. And excuse me, YouTube, I'm not as I'm a bit more blunt. I'm not really censored like that. So, and I'm trying to adjust and adapt to the YouTube space and talking on YouTube. All right. They didn't choose to start this culture war or this thing against Ubisoft until Assassin's Creed Shadows. What the hell is this talking about Diddy? Squid Tentacles. Where the fuck did you come from with Diddy? So now I'm gonna block you. Because we're not talking about P. Diddy over here. You're gonna get blocked. I don't care if you don't view the show. I don't care if you don't subscribe. I don't care if you dipset. Talk about the topic. I don't know where did Diddy come from. Y'all are grown-ass adults, grown-ass men. You see what I'm saying? Respect another grown-ass man channel. Your name is Squid Tentacles. I don't care if I get no views. Respect my damn house or my channel when you come in. Real talk. Anyway. The war that's been waged on Ubisoft, it should have started with the prior Assassin's Creeds or the prior Ghost Recon Breaking Points or the prior Ghost Recon games, because Ubisoft, that's when they started tanking with the I want to say, let me think back real quick. Yeah, it was really with Ghost Recon and a lot of the Assassin's Creed series, a lot of the Ghost Recon series, a lot of the give me a second. Yeah. Yeah. As soon as I'm streaming, this is when everybody want to get on my nerve and bother me. Give me 1 second. I gotta fix my TV so when I'm playing stuff, I have things to comment back on it. But anyway, this war against Ubisoft that the gaming community is raging on, it should have started with the games prior to Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? And I understand why they're going at war with Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? Because the argument surrounding it is that with Yasuke, and the argument whether or not he's a historical figure, and they had they could use Japanese character to represent a Japanese protagonist, right? And objectively, when you think about it, without your personal biases, logically that makes sense. You want to use a Japanese protagonist to represent a game that's set in Japan, in feudal Japan, right? And objectively, logically, that is sound. You want people to represent your culture. So I understand the backlash from the gaming community towards Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? I understand the gaming community angry with Ubisoft because they produce a lot of lackluster games for a while now, right? The big issue is why choose Assassin's Creed Shadows, right? Now, there are people that coming at it from what I said previously, right? You may have some of the Asians from the Japanese community that are upset with it because it's not representing them. You're not representing Japanese male. You may have some honest gamers that wanted to see a Japanese type Assassin's Creed characters, and they could have their honest opinions about it. But you have also the white men who are racist, who are the white incels. This is not white men. This is not all of white men. This is not the average everyday white guy. Because in my opinion, I think the average everyday white guy, they're not really thinking about being racist towards black folks. You know what I'm saying? And I think even the everyday white person would agree with Yasuke, right? Especially if you go to Japan and you've seen that Yasuke has been in Japanese literature and comic books and video games from 1968. If you go pick up a book by the name The Chronicles of Obunaga, it talks about Yasuke, right? But what I'm noticing and what I'm seeing is that you have a lot of white male incels in the gaming community attacking not the game product, but attacking Yasuke specifically. And how they are doing it, right? They are saying, well, Yasuke was a slave. He was just a pet. He was just a fool that was dancing or court jester dancing for the daimyo or the shogun Oda Nobunaga. That's how they say it. But how they substantiate the argument around it is that, well, Yasuke, they could have had better storylines for the game. And that's how white men talk. That's how white men hide their racism, right? They could have a talking point, right? And the talking point that they have, how shall I say this or phrases, right? The talking point doesn't mean what they say it means. So, for instance, I could say, oranges are oranges, right? If I tell you about an orange, or I'm talking to you about an orange, right? I mean, literally, the orange is an orange. But how white men talk, which is kind of like how women talk, they could say the orange, but what they really mean is that the orange is red. So the way how women talk, right? So let's go into how women talk, right? They could be talking about an orange, and they could have another hidden meaning why they're talking about the orange. They could really be meaning that the orange is gray or the orange is red. When men talk, right? When we say about an orange, we're talking about the literal orange, that this orange is a fruit, right? This orange is a fruit itself, this orange. When men speak, we're talking literally to the definition, the orange. When women speak, they have a hidden meaning by the orange, which is how a lot of white men speak to hide their racism. It's a lot of indirect, hidden undertones and hidden meaning. That's why when you talk to white men and they're talking about certain topics, you have to tell them to break that down to see what they mean, to see how they explain it, right? So what a lot of the white male incels in the gaming community are doing to shield their racism, even though if you're intelligent to read it, you're going to pick it up, right? Is that they're making arguments that is logically correct if you look at it objectively, right? And one of the arguments they're saying is that, well, they could have had better storylines that were taking place during that time that they could have made and put into the Assassin's Creed game. But that's not really what they mean, right? It's not that they could have had better storylines, because in the prior Assassin's Creeds, right, they were never historically accurate. They never took historically accurate figures and put them in the game. It was always made up. They may have put in certain timelines, but prior to Assassin's Creed Shadows, Alex VR, you're a person here. Either click the like or get the fuck off my channel. Real talk. Talk about the topic. Click the like, subscribe, or share it. So now, Alex VR, I'm going to block you. Stop coming to my channel and disrespecting me. Like you go to a Fresh and Fit channel and you'll donate to 304s, or you know what I'm talking about. Thank you. I know that no people is here. I'm a new to the streaming thing, so I'm gonna need y'all to respect my channel. That's like you respect the female podcast when you go on there and you click the like and you share and you subscribe. Respect a man, a grown ass man, when you come in. Thank you. Now, thank you very much. I have to be hostile towards people coming into the chat because nowadays people don't respect masculinity or men unless I have women on here that are naked. Let me speak on this. The only time men or masculinity get respected here on YouTube is if they have women on their channel, big bosoms, half naked on their channel. So please, when you come to my channel, please respect me, say hello to the host, contribute to the topic. I know that no people are here. I'm new to the streaming game, right? But with this topic, right? See, I don't need comments like that tipping me off of what I'm talking about. I need comments that contribute to what I'm saying. Now, back to Assassin's Creed, right? You have a lot of white guys or white men in. Now, again, I'm not saying that all white men are racist. I know the average everyday white guy. I'm not trying to be racist towards black people. I'm targeting specifically a lot of the white male incels that are in the gaming community, right? That has been there for a long time. So, if they're gonna make the argument about how in Assassin's Creed Shadows they could have found a legit story or a historically accurate story and added to the game, that's BS, because the Assassin's Creed prior, they were not historically accurate. They may have took place during certain timelines, certain cultural timelines, but all of those stories prior to Assassin's Creed Shadows was made up stories, right? So when you have these white male incels jumping in the game, being upset or angry about Yasuke being in the character, whether or not he's a historical figure or not, that's BS. And, especially from the guy that I tagged in this video, that I tagged in the title of this show, he says some things that's garbage. All right, so hold on. I have to play the clip in the background.
About Assassin's Creed Shadows, I've been given some more information on the original game's plot, as well as some other things. I also,
if you notice that a lot of these YouTubers, right, they'll say they get from their sources or some guy that they heard from, that the guy heard from, that they got some information about a story that they could have inserted into, that was the original plot for the game, and how they scrapped it, if you notice that.
Got some news I heard from sources about the whole Ghost of Tsushima and Yote situation as well, and I think a lot more people need to know about this.
You're going to hear what's being said in the background. Again, I can't stream on my PC. I don't have a proper PC to stream on, so I can show you, flip the screen back to back, but it is what it is for right now.
This too. Firstly, let me start with what I was told recently. I was contacted by someone who worked on the original version of Assassin's Creed Shadows, and they laid out to me what the story was before it was eventually scrapped by Ubisoft for the Yasuke story. Originally, the plot of Shadows...
Objectively speaking on that topic, right? I get if you had an original plot line for the thing, and then where you had actual Japanese characters, and then you scrapped it for something else, which is what they always do, right? They always do that in gaming history. You know what I'm saying? They always had an original storyline that they was going to add to the game, and then they scrap it for something else, or they replace it with something else. Which, objectively listening to somewhat, prior storylines to this, to what we got with Assassin's Creed Shadows, it would have sounded like it would have been a great game, and I would still buy it and I would still play it. But let's continue to listen. This is guys Andy Mayan TV. I don't know how to say his name.
Shadows was supposed to surround a piece of Eden like other games called the Sword of Eden. It was an Isu artifact like the apple or the staff in Odyssey, but this sword would corrupt its wielders with power and then give them dominion over others. The hero of the original story was named Taka Yamauchi, who was a Shinto monk. Taka was decided to be a follower of Shintoism because it was a unique religion within Japan at the time, which would give Taka an interesting viewpoint of the world around him. This was chosen because the writers on Shadows wanted to give the audience a glimpse into a world that was foreign to many. And it was juxtaposed against the idea that the Shinto monk wanted nothing to do with conflict or the wars that were being engulfed by nobles. So pretty much.
No, that sound like it would have been a great storyline to look at, watch, and play. That sounds like a great storyline. So objectively looking at that, it does sound like a great storyline. You know what I'm saying?
The hero was a badass nice guy who wanted to garden all day and just meditate.
A story about a badass nice guy that wanted to just sleep and meditate all day. Really? So it would have been a boring video game. So that probably would have messed up Ubisoft even more, and you would have been complaining. This guy that's talking about it, he would have been complaining about it. That sounds like it would have been a boring story. You was wanting to sleep and meditate all day.
But of course, like any good badass would, the danger finds them eventually. Apparently the story would have switched into high gear when Oda Nobunaga was killed. In case you don't know, in real-life events, Oda Nobunaga was a famous lord that...
You see how he said real-life events as if Yasuke was not a real-life event? They have children books about Yasuke. They have a book called The Chronicles of Oda Nobunaga. Sorry to the Japanese people if I messed up that name. They have a book called The Chronicles of Oda Nobunaga that talks about Yasuke as being a real-life character. Let's go.
Was murdered by his own trusted general named Akechi Mitsuhide. In the new version of Shadows, Yasuke was a slave that is bought by Oda from the Jesuits when they come to Japan. And the very little details of the real-life aspects of Yasuke that we do know, at least we do know that he did carry Oda's tools around and he would dance like a fool in front of his guests because Yasuke's skin was black and he was a very large man. Was Oda Nobunaga racist towards Yasuke in this sense? Absolutely. But I mean, it was a different time, of course, where a black man would stand out like a sore thumb amidst the rest of the Japanese populace. Anyway, like I was saying, Taka Yamauchi are...
You see how this dude said that? Listen to how he said that, how he phrased it. And he's telling the half truth. Was Yasuke bought by Jesuits by Oda Nobunaga? Yes. But listen to how he said that. He was this black guy, and he was some kind of slave, and he carried his weapons. That's how most of these white guys talk in these things, right? How this cat just said it. He said that Yasuke was just carrying a weapons bearer, and he was dancing like a fool, right? And I'm going to read something that contradicts what he just said, or whatever he just said. Hold on 1 second. Let me go to it. All right, and so when this white guy said that we don't know much history about Yasuke, he was a mysterious. Let me play what he said again.
Was a famous lord that was murdered by his own trusted general named Akechi Mitsuhide. In the new version of Shadows, Yasuke was a slave that is bought by Oda from the Jesuits when they come to Japan.
That is true. Yasuke, he came, I think they said he was from Ethiopia, and he was some kind of mercenary that was being hired. So hold on. let's go look into that. Let's look into that one. Let's read that. I wish I could screen share, but again, I lack the right here, Chronicles of Nobunaga, a 17th century book written by one of Nobunaga's followers, describes Yasuke as apparent to be. Okay, so we're gonna go into that. Let's see if Yasuke was a slave or was he a mercenary? Because that Jesuit that they was talking about, he was a mercenary. Yasuke was supposed to be his bodyguard, a mercenary. So let me go, and I'm gonna post a lot of these links into the description channel after I edit the video, after this live is done. So give me a second. Because last time I checked, Yasuke wasn't a slave. He was a mercenary. He was like that Jesuit. Because a lot of times you had a lot of the Jesuits that were from like Rome and Italy, and they would go to different countries and try to spread the word of Christianity or Catholic. I don't know how to say it. Catholicisms, whatever you want to call it, right? And a lot of those Jesuits, they would go to Japan, and apparently Oda Nobunaga, he liked Christianity. He liked Christianity. If you go look up the research, he liked Western things. So he was adopting a lot of the Western Christianity, a lot of those things into his thing, right? So that's probably when he saw Oda Nobunaga, where one of those Jesuits brought Yasuke to be his bodyguard over there. So let's see. Let me see. Let me go read this. Yasuke's time in India. Because they were saying that Yasuke had a time in India. You know what's funny to me? All of a sudden, everybody wants to get historically accurate now. And it's funny to me how a lot of white dudes in Hollywood and in okay, let me finish what I'm saying. I have ADHD, so my brain, goes all over the place, right? So it's funny to me how everybody wants to get historically accurate, but when white men were doing yellowface and blackface in, I think, the beginning stages of Hollywood, because during the 80s you had a lot of blaxploitation, and black men were getting a bad rap via Hollywood. There was a lot of black male slander, a lot of black male propaganda that was making black men look bad. So it's funny to me how a lot of white men that still have those racist mentality, that are in gaming and are in Hollywood, want to talk about historical accuracy now, when he wasn't historically accurate then. Okay, so right here, Yasuke was likely kidnapped as a child and sold into slavery by Arab or Indian slave traders. So for those of you black people that want to debate if Kamala Harris was black or not, her people enslaved your people and sold you into slavery. Let's go. Military service. Yasuke trained as a child soldier. So his military service, this is what it's talking about. Yasuke trained as a child soldier and fought in the, I don't know how to say that name. He may have fought for Ibrahim Hussein Mizra, a Persian lord who controlled a district of Gujij. I don't know how to say that name. I'm not going to butcher that name. And I wish I could stream share it. So basically, this is saying that Yasuke was a child soldier, and he fought for a Muslim lord, a Muslim ruler, or Persian lord, as it's described. It's describing the person that Yasuke fought for to be a Persian lord, right? So they could have done an Assassin's Creed about Yasuke, about his life before Japan. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, Yasuke may have spent a few years as a Goy, G-O-A, a Goy, working with the Portuguese Jesuits. He likely met Alessandro Valeriano, the Jesuit missionary in Asia, between 1574 and 1578. Valeriano bought Yasuke and made him his valet and bodyguard. So Yasuke has experience in combat. Yasuke has experience being a bodyguard or protector to different lords or Jesuit missionaries. Now it's funny about the Portuguese, right? There was a lot of slave trading between West Africa and Portugal, so that's a lot of history y'all should go study up on, right? And Yasuke and Vigilano arrived in Japan in 1578, where Yasuke became a samurai under the rule of Oda Nobunaga. And I forgot the term that they use. It's basically like not really a samurai, but it was like a samurai for hire, right? Let me see. The Temple of Black Sun and Yasuke was civilization. Hold on. Another term for samurai. Right. I forgot the name of the other term for the samurai. Yeah, it's Bushi, but basically, it's not Ronin. Oh man, it's not Ronin. Maybe I'll buck up into it. But let's continue to
very little details of the real life aspects of Yasuke that we do know. At least we do know that he did carry Oda's tools around and he would dance like a fool in front of his guests because Yasuke.
You see how you said that? Listen to how you said that.
His skin was black and he was a very large man. Was Oda Nobunaga racist towards Yasuke in this sense? Absolutely. But I mean, it was a...
Nah. Nowhere in Oda Nobunaga's book of Chronicles does it say that. So let me ask a question to this guy, if you're going to ever be watching this, right? How can you say if Oda Nobunaga favored Yasuke, how would he be racist towards him if he liked him and he was fascinated by somebody? I don't think you would enslave something you're fascinated by. So what you mean to say, Andy Man TV, is that you feel racist towards, and you're just hiding it under Oda Nobunaga is being racist towards. You can't say, because you don't really know if he was racist. And if you're saying that what you do know is that he was dancing like a fool in front of Oda Nobunaga and he was just carrying the weapons, you really don't know if he was doing that. Because if there's a mystery shrouded behind this character, you don't know if he was a slave or if he wasn't a slave. But you do know that this character was around during that time, as according to the chronicles of Oda Nobunaga. See what I'm saying? So, this is what frustrates me about a lot of these white dudes in these spaces. And you hear them speak. You know what I'm saying? But you hear them talk. And you can hear the racist undertones that they say. And rather than just coming out and say, yo, we don't like this because it's a black guy. And they can't really say that because they will sound hypocritical, because there have been white men that played samurais on cinema. Like your boy Keanu Reeves. That his character was not a historical character. That storyline in 47 Ronin did not exist. The event exists. The 47 Ronin, that was an actual historical event that happened in Japan. But Keanu Reeves' character and the sorcery that took place in that movie, that did not exist. I didn't hear no white guy complaining about that. Right? So let me see what
different time, of course, where a black man would stand out like a sore thumb amidst the rest of the Japanese populace. Anyway, like I was saying, Taka Yamauchi, our hero, would be...
So your hero? Since when do white men look towards Japanese people as their hero? Asian men. Let me talk to y'all right quick. I know because Asian men, y'all have listened to white people and you allowed them to trick you to be racist or look at black men in a bad way. Do y'all Asian men ever realize that a lot of white dudes, they seem to want to conquer you and have relations with your women? and you don't go to your Japanese country and they can't. White men fail with their white women. And I'm talking about racist white men. They have failed with their women, right? And then they want to go to places like Japan, and they want to go to places like Vietnam and China and corrupt your women. See, when a black guy accepts an Asian dude and he's a part of black culture, we actually give him some masculinity. We give him some game. We game him up. And if you ever notice, when the Asian dude is around black guys and he gets our swag and these things, he's able to get more women. Asian men, you ever notice that when you're around white dudes, you have to be in an inferior position to them? You want to sleep with your women and dominate your women, but they can't effectively control their women or get their women to, behave properly. But they want to do it with your women. And then get mad if a black guy is with Asian women, which Asian women don't belong. You ever find that funny, Asian dudes? You ever find it funny that when an Asian guy is in a movie written by white men, those white men write Asian men to be inferior or weak? You ever notice that, Asian dudes? But when you're around black folks, you actually get more masculine about yourself. You actually get more game about yourself. Think about it. Anyway.
When the fall of Oda Nobunaga happens. A fugitive would then come to Taka's temple from that said battle and would reveal himself to be Hattori Hanzo, who, if you don't know, he was one of the legendary ninjas of that same time period in real life. He was an actual person that was instrumental to the legend that we know today of Japanese shinobi. Hattori Hanzo would be wounded upon meeting Taka and would reveal that he had but one possession in his care, which would...
Now, you know what's hypocritical about this? They're talking about historical accuracy. You're taking characters and you're altering who they are to add them in a fictitious game about some hidden secret society and Assassin's Creed thing that was doing hidden shit behind the scenes, which is made up. And you're arguing about historical accuracy. Come on, bro. Anyway, it's funny how Chadwick Boseman was going to play Yasuke. But nobody would have had an issue if it was Tom Cruise playing a samurai, or that new series called Shogun, where it's a white dude playing as a samurai. Hold on, let me see something now. I'm trying to figure out what the term that they called Yasuke. It's like a samurai, but not a samurai. No. I forgot what they were calling him. Anyway.
Be revealed as a Sword of Eden taken from the hands of Oda Nobunaga after his death by Akechi Mitsuhide and his band of murderous, power-hungry samurai brethren. Akechi Mitsuhide would announce that Hattori Hanzo was a traitor for stealing the sword, pinning the whole murder of Oda Nobunaga on him, and using the confusion of the chaos of his lord's death to make it seem like Akechi was not the one who landed the killing blow. So, the entirety of Japan was out looking for this shinobi man who, unbeknownst to Taka, was carrying the Sword of Eden that could change the fate of Japan depending on who wielded it. I like the idea of the story so far. Sure, the sword is fantastical, but all Assassin's Creed had this concept, so it fits right in. And it uses the real-life individuals of that time to make a compelling narrative that I would actually want to explore. But there's more, so let's keep going. Taka would agree to treat Hanzo's wounds and would shelter his presence from Akechi and his samurai. Within this newfound trust, Hanzo would reveal to Taka that he belonged.
So they're saying that Yasuke wasn't a samurai, he was a retainer to Oda Nobunaga. Let's look at what a retainer is in Japan. Retainer. Japanese. A retainer refers, and I wish I could screen share so y'all can see this. A retainer armor. It even has a similar armor to what Yasuke wears, right? It says retainer armor from Japan, Asia, collected by Albert Hewitt, given to the museum by Hereford Museum in 1942. This is a suit of retainer armor. A retainer refers to a vessel in feudal Japan, usually a samurai, providing military service. And hold on, let me see if I can flip it. Let me see. So this is the old ass computer that I'm working with. Look what retainer says here. All right. This suit is a retainer armor. Let me stay with my hand. I'm getting but just read that. Read that right there. For Ubisoft to read this.
Everyone said I'd have to leave my job to earn a marketing degree.
All right, got that handle. So Ubisoft, I want y'all to read this right here, right? Because they're saying that Yasuke wasn't really a samurai. He was just a retainer or vessel. This suit of retainer armor, a retainer refers to a vessel in feudal Japan, usually a samurai providing military service. This suit dates around 1850, and although decorative, it is more retrained and practical than many samurai armors. The cuirass is made to look like it is constructed of lamellin, I guess. Oh, so it's described as like a small lace plates, but it's actually made of larger pieces. Much of the lacing has been concealed, and wooden components have been, which I don't know how to say that wrong, lacquered black to give a simpler appearance overall. And this is the suit. So this is the suit right here. Sorry for the lack in quality. See, I have all my tabs open up here, researching this, right? Look at this. This is the armor. If you look at the game, if you look at the concept art of the game, right? It's similar to that armor that I just showed you, right there, right? So that's for Ubisoft. You know what I'm saying? Oh my God, my phone. You didn't see that? No. I'm probably gonna make a more quality video to this. You know what I'm saying? I just had to speak on this topic. I needed to speak on this topic because it needs to be said. And I've already spoken on this topic and broken this down. All right, so
narrative that I would actually want to explore, but there's more, so let's keep going. Taka would agree to treat Hanzo's wounds and would shelter his presence from Akechi and his samurai. Within this newfound trust, Hanzo would reveal to Taka that he belonged to a mysterious clan unbeknownst to the outside world of Iga shinobis that were working to save Japan from the clutches of Akechi Mitsuhide and his corrupt samurai. These Iga shinobis would be revealed as the Japanese branch of the Hidden Ones. And this is how Taka would
so
get
you want to take a historical character and add it to a fictional game, but you're arguing over whether or not, like, it doesn't make any sense. But anyway, let's see what he's had to say about this thing.
Told, this Toyotomi Hideyoshi would come into possession of the Sword of Eden himself, and he would then use it to sway the people of Japan to his side, and Taka, now a part of the Iga Shinobi's Hidden Ones, would be waging a secret war against Toyotomi and Akechi in order to secure the sword and ensure Japan was freed of this Templar samurai rule. Apparently, Toyotomi would refer to himself as the Demon King of the Six Heavens and was clearly becoming
So now you're adding demons and kings and other fictional shit.
Corrupted by the Isu technology within the Sword of Eden that was warping his mind.
The Sword of Eden. Fictional.
And would likely turn him into an untrustworthy madman who would think that everyone was out to get him. According to my sources, the story would eventually...
According to your sources, which you have a right not to give up your sources, but I found it ironic that it's always according to your sources. No, it's according to you.
The end with Taka defeating Akechi Mitsuhide for killing Oda Nobunaga, and eventually within the shadows taking down Toyotomi Hideyoshi and claiming the Sword of Eden for the Iga Shinobi Hidden Ones. The story would then end with Tokugawa Ieyasu, who was the first shogun of the Tokugawa shogunate, ushering in a new era for Japan that would span from 1603
or whatever.
Were about, in my opinion. According to my sources, which I asked if I was able to tell their experiences while working with Ubisoft, they said it was fine, so I'll tell you that now. They said they were very quickly flown out to Japan after being hired by Ubisoft for this very ambitious project. They also took many notes while researching the historical period, and they found navigating a foreign city to be very challenging to do at the time. On the weekends, they said that they were taken to and they do believe that the political climate of that time, including George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, did lead to Yasuke being inserted over Taka Yamauchi. So in my previous
I need to hear what he got to say.
Team, according to my sources, most of what was made or written by the original Shadows team was largely abandoned by the now Shadows devs. This all happened between 2015 to 2016, according to them. So this game has been on in and off development for almost a decade at this point. My source also told me they did hear that the bulk of the story and direction was changed during 2020, like I previously mentioned in my other video. And they do believe that the political climate of that time, including George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement, did lead to Yasuke being inserted over Taka Yamauchi. So when my previous sources told me that they saw a fully created Japanese male protagonist, I can only assume that what they saw was indeed Taka Yamauchi.
So it's a lot of hearsay, she say, he say, hey say. Hearsay and what I believe was this and what we believe we saw this and what we believe we saw that. Let me address what was said if you guys were hearing. So according to what this guy just said, he was saying that during 2020, during George Floyd, it could have led to the reasoning on why they made the samurai black, which in my opinion, in my personal opinion, they wouldn't have had to done that. Like, that's too much pandering. You know what I'm saying? It would be pandering if that is true, because remember, he said it's a belief. Andy Mon TV, according to him, he said that his sources said that they believe it was because of George Floyd and because of the political climate at the time. So it's a lot of he say, she say, they say, I say, motherfucker, everybody say, right? But let's say that's true, right? I wouldn't appreciate that because you're not going to insert a black guy into the game because of George Floyd. I wouldn't appreciate that. Like, you don't need to do that, to promote a game, because it could have been putting a black guy in the game to promote Assassin's Creed, which I'm going to go into that a little bit later, right? Because the political space at that time during George Floyd, that shit was crazy. Black Lives Matter got kicked off on it, and Black Lives Matter is now being exposed, and I would even agree that a lot of Black Lives Matter uses black men to promote their organization, and they don't really care about black men like that. But if that was the case with Assassin's Creed, in my opinion, that's not needed. Ubisoft, you don't need to do that or pander, or to make a character or to scrap a previous character to now create put a black character in there to because of the politics or the space at that time. Now, that still doesn't take away the fact of the matter that Yasuke was a historical person. And according to the Chronicles of Oda Nobunaga, he played a more significant role than just being a damn slave or being some kind of court jester that was carrying weapons. You feel what I'm saying? As a matter of fact, let's read this here. Let me go here. Yasuke's rank. Okay. History. Yasuke was the first recorded foreigner to become a samurai. So he was first recorded to become a samurai in Japan. He was a warrior who served under Oda Nobunaga, a powerful 16th century Japanese feudal lord. Rank. Yasuke was given the rank of samurai by Nobunaga, who was impressed by Yasuke's skills. Nobunaga made Yasuke a vessel, which I just told you that a vessel is basically a retainer. That's basically a samurai, giving him a house, servants, a sword, and a stipend. I forgot what the other term for that is called, but that's basically like you give them some gold. And they call it a fief. Right? So fief is like you give them some kind of gold, land, and whatsoever. Right? Arrival. Yasuke's arrival in Kyoto in 1579 was a sensation that people climbed over each other to get a glimpse of him. Language. Yasuke became fluent in Japanese. Height. The chronicles describe Yasuke as standing more than 6 feet tall. Strength. Chronicles describe Yasuke as having formidable strength that surpassed that of 10 men. So, the chronicles of Oda Nobunaga, it doesn't describe him as being a damn slave or being somebody that's carrying around his weapons. And technically, samurai are in the service or being servants or are in the service of a feudal lord or a daimyo or shogun. Technically. I just think that with samurai, according to Japanese culture, I don't want to disrespect Japanese culture. I think with samurai, it's kind of like a gentleman or a knight. Like you have the gentleman of European and you have the knight of the knights, right, of the European culture. I think the samurai would be equated to that, where it's like a higher position, right? You have to be part of a bloodline and these things. But guess what? There were Italian samurai. There were German samurai. There have been European samurais that became samurais within Japanese culture. That the Japanese looked at them as gaijin or barbarian. If you go look back at Tom Cruise by the Japanese in that movie was referred to as a barbarian. They didn't like Tom Cruise's character. And Tom Cruise was supposed to be some kind of soldier in Last Samurai. Ironically, Yasuke was also a soldier. If you go back to what I was saying earlier in the video, right?
As he was intended to be shown in the game. According to one of my sources, the reason why Taka's story was rejected was because the narrative designers at Ubisoft didn't want Shadows to be a piece of Eden of the Week story again like other games. As of now, though, I am not being told what the actual plot of Shadows is as of right now. But we do know that they gender swapped Taka and combined his idea of his character with that of another legendary Iga shinobi. But instead of Hattori Hanzo, the shinobi chosen was Fujibayashi Nagato. Nagato was like Hanzo, one of the legendary real-life Iga shinobi. But of course, he was not chosen as the main character of Shadows, as I'm told, because he was a Japanese man. And weird, and strictly speaking, Asian men are oftentimes treated with the same disdain as white male characters as well. So instead of Nagato being your Shadows main...
Whoa. White men are treated with disdain? Nah. It's usually white men treating Japanese men or Asian men with disdain. Because a lot of white men believe y'all could bully them Asian dudes. So I don't know where you get that lie from, sir. You treat white men with disdain. Maybe people don't like white dudes because of your sins across the planet and what you've done to other people's cultures. Maybe that's why they have a disdain for you. Maybe them Japanese people over there in Japan and China and Vietnam and Korea are sick and tired of white dudes coming to their country and talking shit to them and pursuing their women. If I was an Asian dude, I'd be upset that white dudes keep coming to my country and pursuing my women. You should be pursuing your own women before you pursue my women. See, black culture, right? Or black men, right? White men stuck their business in black men's business. And white men program and socialize black women to hate black men through feminism and other various things. So the reason why black men can say that our women are not good or our women are faulty is because white men stuck their business into our business and messed up our women during slavery, during Jim Crow, doing with feminism and other different things that white men have done to mess up our culture and you know what I'm trying to say, mess up our culture and our women. So that's what black men can say. But nobody ever programmed white women to go against white men. The reason why white women don't respect white men is because of what white men are doing, right? And what white men do, since they can't get white women to respect them, they go to Asia and go mess with Asian women. That doesn't belong to them. So what he just said right there about disdain for white men and Asian men, I don't see that, sir. Me personally, I don't see that opinion. Usually what we see since Hollywood's inception is white men disrespecting Asian characters by playing yellow face and pursuing their Asian women and making Asian men out to look like punks or weaklings. That's what we see. So you can be cool with that gaslight. What I'm saying is not a gaslight because the evidence is there. There's whole documentaries where the Asian community has done speaking about yellowface in Hollywood, right? Every time you see an Asian character on any of these shows, any movies that are in Hollywood, they're usually in an inferior, weak position, with the exception of Rebel One with Donnie Yen. And we're not the exception, but you know, there's plenty of movies where you have Donnie Yen or Jet Li or Jackie Chan playing masculine roles, but that's because they have a more control of their characters, right? But if you notice, like in Rush Hour, with Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan, when it's with a black guy, the Asian guy is just as masculine as the black guy. But when it's with the Asian dude, with the white dude, it's always the white dude sort of bullying the Asian guy. Or the Asian guy looks inferior towards the white dude. So let me replay what he said.
Real life Iga Shinobi, but of course, he was not chosen as the main character of Shadows, as I'm told, because he was a Japanese man. And what's very weird in Western studios is, largely speaking, Asian men are oftentimes treated with the same disdain as white male characters as well.
That's bullshit. That's a gaslight he's talking about. With all the video games with white male protagonists in Western studios, what? There are plenty of white male protagonists in the previous Assassin's Creed games. Greek male assassins, Scandinavian with Assassin's Creed Valhalla, with the Scandinavians being Vikings, right? And they were never treated with a disdain. So what kind of lie are you cooking up over there, Endymon TV? And I'll put my face out here because I want the smoke, all the smoke. Because we have video games with white male protagonists made by Western studios and Japanese studios, and there was never a disdain for those white male characters. So what is he talking about? Maybe it's Western studio has a disdain of Japanese male characters. Well, let's continue.
Instead of Nagato being your Shadow's main character or Taka, this is why Naoe is your Shinobi in Shadows officially. She's the daughter of Fujibayashi Nagato, that's canon by the way. In the reveal trailer Dev Diary, they reveal and confirm that the name Fujibayashi Nagato is the guy in the trailer and that Naoe is his daughter. So Ubisoft quite literally took the concept of the Iga Shinobis, which was spearheaded and led by legendary male ninjas, and went screw all of that. They don't matter.
Japanese men, what you have to ask yourself a question. Why do white men give a damn about how Japanese men represent their culture? And listen, I agree with the core objective concept, right? That you want a Japanese male character to represent your games. I agree with that. Because as a so-called quote-unquote black male, and I'll discuss why I don't like calling myself black, but for the sake of the argument, quote-unquote black male, black men in black culture, they have that issue with Hollywood as well. But the same issue that Japanese men have with white dudes, black men have that with them too, right? Where a lot of the That's why I disagree with what he said about a disdain for Western studios having a disdain for white men. That's only as of late with feminism and the gynocentricity going on right now. But with white men, they always take black male characters, or one of the arguments that a lot of the arguments that black men make here in America about our characters and our people being portrayed as a certain way in Western media, in Western Hollywood, on TV. It's being a negative character or negative stereotypes, which was the main argument with blaxploitation during the 80s and the 70s and the 60s, right? Where you had hit pieces and propaganda being pushed out there by Hollywood against black men. You know what I'm saying? Like Color Purple, for example. Color Purple is not what black men do. That's not the characteristics of the majority of black men in general at that time with Color Purple. But it was shot out there to make black men look like this slave master, and was just just brutalizing black women when that's not true. So, but Japanese men, you have to wonder why white men for this game Assassin's Creed give so much of a damn about your culture being represented when they never cared about that. Again, there's a history of yellowface in Hollywood where white men would get Academy Awards, and what's the highest award you get in Hollywood? I forgot what it was called. A Grammy or Golden Globe Award for playing Asian yellowface and playing Chinese characters. So they never cared about your representation. All of a sudden with Assassin's Creed Shadows, they care about it now. And if they want to make an argument about, okay, this is woke and diversity higher, well, white male protagonists like Rambo and what's the other karate brother name? I forgot his name. My fault. My camera's just all over the place. My fault. What's the other karate brother's name? Jason Statham. Dolph Lundgren. My bad. Dolph Lundgren has played in a lot of Asian movies. That's DEI higher. Keanu Reeves, that's DEI higher, diversity higher. So you can't say you have an issue with that, but let's continue.
Anymore. Instead, here's Now Way because women are better, apparently. As I said in my previous video, Ubisoft wanted women to rule industry both within dev teams and representation in media as well. I think a lot of the
I can agree that Assassin's Creed could be going woke because there are elements of it. Because if they did genocide, because they could have made a Asian male character and a Yasuke a black male character. They could have put that in there. But I do agree with Ubisoft kind of going woke if they're gender swapping and they're adding LGBT stuff in the game. And I'm going to discuss that later, right? And that's Ubisoft. This is me giving you my honest criticism, right? But let's continue.
This could have been avoided if they simply didn't have Yasuke, because two protagonists are not something we really want in Assassin's Creed games anyways.
Are you serious? You had two protagonists in Valhalla, you didn't complain. You had two protagonists, you had male and female protagonists in Valhalla and Odyssey, and you didn't complain.
And they should have just made Now Way have a male variant, and then you can choose whichever you want, like in Valhalla. But what's done is done, I suppose, and now instead of a cool Sword of Eden story, you're going to be getting whatever it is that Ubisoft has cooked up this time. But like I said in my previous video, they have at least 7% of the pre-orders of Valhalla in the same time period. It's a big reason why they're...
All right, I'm done with listening to this guy. This guy. This dude. This white man. So let's give my honest criticisms about Assassin's Creed Shadows and how I personally feel about the game from my own thoughts and my own brain. Now to the white men or that's going to be watching this video, I'm not directing it to all of you. I'm not directing it to you in general. I'm not even directing it to the average white male video game player, because I understand that a lot of white men that are playing video games or in real life don't really have an issue with black dudes like that. I understand the social space we're in, or the social climate we're in today, but I'm not one of those, pro blacks, or one of those, I hate white dudes like that. No, that's not me. I will call out your bullshit when I see it. I will call out, when you're doing something that's wrong, and it's clearly it's racism, and you're trying to hide it. I will call that out. But in general, no, I don't. This is not what this is. But if you're gonna make an argument saying that, this is just a DEI hire and woke culture, this and that, well, you've had plenty of white women and you've had plenty of white men, male and female protagonists, starring and playing in movie roles with, Asian men and not Asian men, my fault. Let me say that properly. You've had plenty of white men and you have plenty of white women that have had roles in Asian movies, in Asian culture. So technically, that would be diversity hire, and technically that would be woke. And white men, you have done a lot of whitewashing and race swapping. That's why a lot of the planet is upset with your forebears. A lot of your forebears did a lot of whitewashing, a lot of race swapping, especially when it comes to Africa, right? But let's talk about gaming industry, and let's talk about the entertainment industry as a whole. There's been plenty of white male protagonists, white female protagonists that has played in many video games, and no one has ever had an issue with those, right? You've had Cyberpunk, you've had Super Mario Brothers, which is a Japanese-made game, with Super Mario being an Italian plumber, and Princess Peach being a Caucasian woman, right? You've had what's that called? Oh man, I can't believe I don't know why my brain is going blank. The games I'm thinking about right now. But you've had let's just say you've had plenty of anime. You have plenty of video games. You have plenty of movies with white male protagonists and white female protagonists. And you never said you never complained about it being woke or diversity higher. And these are protagonists that were in Japanese culture, Asian culture, Chinese culture. We love Rambo. We love Dolph Lundgren. We love Jason Statham. We love Chuck Norris. We love James Bond, 007. Sean Connery. Sean Connery. You know what I'm saying? Sean Connery, is the biggest white male that has starred in plenty of Asian culture type things, and has gotten the Asian woman in a lot of the movies that I've seen him star in. You see what I'm saying? Even to current date, you have a series called Shogun with a white male protagonist whose love interest is a Japanese female. So you cannot lie to me in my face or try to gaslight me to say you have an issue with Assassin's Creed because of whatever. Now I get the argument, which is how white men are hiding what they really feel behind it, about it being, they want a Japanese game that's historically accurate, even though Assassin's Creed has never been historically accurate. I understand the arguments. If you had a prior story that was better than this story, you should have had that prior story. And they just changed it up to fit the environment of woke and whatever political crap is going on right now. I understand that argument. And Ubisoft, you have to understand that argument too, right? Objectively speaking on it, right? You cannot be making these games and, putting Yasuke up there for the purposes of, to support a woke agenda, or for the purposes of a DEI hire, or for the purposes of whatever political nonsense is going on right now. So you can't be putting Yasuke up there like that. And then now, as I heard, they gender swap one of the characters. So that technically it positions yourself, Ubisoft, into being woke already. If you're gender swapping the Asian female, you're supposed to be an Asian man, and you gender swapped it, and then you put Yasuke in there as a purpose for the purpose of woke culture or political, whatever political thing is going on. Now, I don't believe it was because of George Floyd. I don't believe that. I think that was he say, she say, they say, in my opinion. You see what I'm saying? My thing, and then the argument whether or not Yasuke was historically accurate or not. If it's not historically accurate, or it's just a mystery you don't really know, then you don't really know if he was a slave or he's a pet. So would you white men stop fucking saying that bullshit? Stop saying that he was a slave or he was just a pet or he was just carrying his weapons. But there's literature to counteract what you're saying. There's a book called The Chronicles of Oda Nobunaga that says something completely different. There's been children's books written in Japan talking about Yasuke. Since 1968, there's been comic books. Japanese people have. Let me slow down. In Japanese culture, Yasuke has always been a figure or some kind of prominent character in their culture prior to Assassin's Creed Shadows. So Japanese culture never had an issue with Yasuke being in it. So what's the issue now? And I really think that the issue is that it's a black dude with an Asian female up there. And because it's a black dude with an Asian female up there, white dudes feel some type of insecurity about it. The Asian women don't belong to you. They belong to Asian men. It's not like black dudes are trying to pursue Asian women like that, with the exception of the Passport Bros, which is a minority group. But in general, black American men or black men across the globe are not pursuing Asian women like that. Typically, when other groups of women are pursuing, or let me say it like this, typically other groups of women are in pursuit of black men when you see that relationship going on. So I don't know what insecurity does white men have with black guys talking to Asian women like that. Because every time, because I have Asian friends and Asian partners, right? And they'll talk about how when black guys go to Japan and stuff, and I didn't just hear that from my partners. I've heard that from other Asian people, that whenever time black men will go to Japan or Vietnam or any of these places, the white men would tell the Asian people not to treat those black guys properly, or those black guys are bad, or they're criminals and this and the third. Which is funny to me because white dudes are one of the biggest criminals, the original criminals on the planet. If you want to go take it there. But no. The reason why I don't agree with Yasuke being in, or Ubisoft using Yasuke to be a black male protagonist, is because black men don't have a video game that depicts black men in a raw masculine form, in a rawest masculine form. The thing we had closest to that was with American Gods, with Anansi's character. That was the closest to it. But with the social space that black men have gone through, not only here in America, but across the Caribbean and in the diaspora, we've never had a game or movie showcased in mainstream media or in a mainstream video game, showcasing black men fighting and rebelling against their oppressors, or rebelling against or fighting for their freedoms, basically. Because there's plenty of stories like that. You have the Haitian Revolution. You have with the Jamaicans and the Maroons, and how they had to fight. Remember, Jamaica had to fight two oppressors. They had to fight Spain first, and they had to fight Britain next. Britain after that. And then you have the Black American story, where Black American men had to fight various oppressors, various people, civil rights, sharecropping, slavery, Jim Crow. So I would have preferred if Ubisoft made a game specifically to black men, where you have black men during slavery rebelling against his slave master, fighting, going onto the slave plantation, burning down the plantation, going into the slave master's house, cutting his head off or slitting his throat. You see what I'm saying? And then you could just make a game showcasing black men creating a brotherhood of brothers, like the story of the foundation of the Negro Masons. A lot of you don't know that the Negro Masons was founded by a black guy that was from Barbados. I forget his name at the moment. I'm blank with his name. But he created the first Negro Mason Lodge called African Lodge Number 1 and African Lodge Number 2. And they did a lot of slave rebellions, right? The city of Chicago was started by a Haitian brother, right? You could have done a game about Marcus Garvey. See what I'm saying? And you could have talked to various black leaders like Minister Farrakhan. Like, you can't say you don't like Minister Farrakhan because you did video games, Ubisoft, about Islamic culture. So you can't say you don't like Minister Farrakhan or he's a hot stove to touch. There's various black, pro-black material from Minister Farrakhan, the OGs and the ancestors that's still here in the physical form. They could have talked to you about what went on during those times that you could have put into a video game. You could have did something about Mansa Musa, Assassin's Creed. But more specifically, something done about Black American men here in America and in the rest of the diaspora, where we have to fight our oppressors and create a brotherhood of black men where we're going to unify and beat our oppressors and gain our freedoms here. That would have been a better Ubisoft game than to have Yasuke and now black men's face at the center of some political BS that's going on, a political war. Because now the culture war now is against Yasuke, a black dude. And even though it's a historical figure, right? You know what I'm saying? Give me 1 second. I got to go check my doorbell. Give me 1 second.